And today, I don't know how many people didn't come last week. Is there anybody, can you put in the chat or speak up if you weren't here last week?
I was not here last week.
Okay, so I'm going to go over what we did last week.
Thank you.
I'm going to share my screen. Which screen do you see?
Last week's tasks.
Okay, perfect.
Same. Yep.
Okay, so what we went over last week were engagement plans and levels. So engagement plans are a series of tasks that you can put against a contact, an opportunity, an account, or recurring donation. So basically, the use case that's most often used is if somebody reaches a $250 gifts this year, your organization could consider them on a path to move them to be even more major donor. And so what you want to do when that person hits the 250, you enroll them into an engagement plan, which creates a series of tasks for the development officer, for the volunteer coordinator. It might include a thank you note task for the executive director or a board.
If you're gonna go Wendy's, hold on, let me.
Not just get their meal, like their Baconator with like.
Is somebody asking a question, or is that just background noise? Okay. So that is the basics. So I'll take a look at it, what we built last week in Salesforce. So the first thing we had to do last week is build an engagement plan template. So we go to the templates, and you can see when I built it, I named it bronze. And the description is if they gave $250 in year-to-date donations. And I am going to have engagement tasks that are associated with this engagement plan template. So 30 days after they reach the bronze level, they'll get a handwritten note from the executive director. 60 days, they'll receive an invitation to an open house featuring some of our work. 90 days, they'll receive a video thank you. And all of these are tasks that are assigned to me, but you could make it any user. And I think we had a question last week about whether or not we could make it queues. Just now I remembered that, so I didn't look that up. The next thing that we did was we created level and previous level lookup fields on our objects. So on the account level, if I look at details, I have a level field and I have a previous level field. So if Chucky reached that $250 level, that's when he would be enrolled in the bronze engagement plan, or that's what I made. That was the intent of that engagement plan template with those series of tasks. The intent was to then associate that engagement plan template with a level called bronze level. So this bronze level is related to this engagement plan template. So what I'm doing here is I have said if this source field, opportunity amount this year, this is on my account object, if that reaches 250 to the maximum amount would be $999.99, this person's account would automatically have that level field filled in with bronze. If this person then, I made another field called silver, or another level called silver, which went from 1,000 to 5,000. If they reached the silver level, then Salesforce, and they were in the bronze level previously, Salesforce would automatically put that bronze level into the previous level field, and the silver level would become the level field on the account. So those are the things that we did. We created at least 2 levels so that you could see it go from the level to the previous level. Now, that automation with the levels, that only happens at 2 a.m. every day because of the way that Nonprofit Success Pack works, or if you force the levels to batch process, which you can do by going to NPSP settings. And then there's a batch process choice here, which is not showing up right now. And then, bulk data processing. Then we click on level assignment batch, and then I'd run the batch to assign the levels, which you'll see me do when we do the flow testing. So that is the basics of how that would work. So you could see on my account if I picked a random household account, and I put a lot of accounts and contacts into my system. I just loaded them in, and I got the data from this website called Makaroo.com. I really recommend it. You can just say what you want, like the types of fields you want. Like you could add address, like street address, and you can pick from their fields that they have. So you could type in street right here, and it'll give me 1,000 records if I want. I just download data. I download it into a CSV, and it gives me all these fields. So if you're looking for test data for your development sandbox or anything like that, I really highly recommend that. So then if I was going to put this person in the engagement plan of bronze, I'll just show you what happens to that account. So if I refresh this account, you can see all of those tasks that were associated with that engagement plan have now been assigned to me. That doesn't have anything to do with the levels. I could have an engagement plan that's a series of tasks that I put on an opportunity or something like that when I want it to, or I could even write a process builder automation. So when it goes from prospecting to cultivation, I automatically have 4 tasks for myself for that cultivation effort. So that's one way you can build those engagement plan templates. It doesn't necessarily have to do the level automation that we went over last week. So that's a quick review. So what we found was last week when we were doing this is that if I had an engagement plan template that was associated with a level, that if the person bumped up to the next level, those previous level tasks that had not been started were still there. They don't go away, they don't close out, that nothing happened to them. So now the person has bronze level tasks and silver level tasks. And also, if you want to delete an engagement plan for whatever reason, Salesforce has programmed it so that those tasks just become not associated with the engagement. The tasks remain even though I delete the engagement plan. So I'll show that. So if I click on delete and I'm deleting this engagement plan and go back to this account, you see the tasks still remain. So what do we do about that? So took a look at how all these things are related. So obviously you could do this with contact too, but today for this example, we're going to do it as if a level is on an engagement plan or task. I'm not really looking at the chat, so if you have a question, feel free to turn off your mic and ask it. So if you go from the account ID, you can get, now the engagement plan ID, that's not really there, because so the engagement plan is related to the account and the account ID is on the engagement plan. So that's how that primary key and foreign key works. If you are familiar with database tables and architecture, I can't quite explain what a primary and foreign key is. I took a class on it 15 years ago. So then you have your engagement plan. So the engagement plan has an engagement plan ID, an engagement plan template ID, and then there's a task, right? So there's a engagement plan related to each task, and the task has an ID. So then we go and look at, okay, well, how is engagement plan related to levels and previous levels? Well, the engagement, I guess the kind of the path to get them connected would be your engagement plan template ID is something that exists in the engagement plan. Obviously, the engagement plan template, the level, and the previous level. This is supposed to be level ID, and this is supposed to be engagement. These are supposed to be the same. So the level and the previous level are lookup fields. We saw those on the account to the level object. So that's kind of how it's all connected. So our first story, if you're familiar with Agile is a method of technical development that a lot of larger organizations are going to use. So if I know some of you are still looking for your first Salesforce admin job, I would encourage you to do the Kanban and Agile trailheads, because a lot of those bigger companies are going to use this methodology. And so what they do is they write a story, is the use case or the scenario surrounding what they want to do. So, and they always start it, or the best practice is to start it with as a, and then the stakeholder. So as a major gift officer, I want to be able to delete all tasks when I'm deleting an engagement plan. So what we're going to do that is create a screen flow, and the screen flow is going to confirm that the users want to delete all the tasks. And then the flow that we're building is going to take that screen component or screen flow, and it's we're going to create the next, it'll be a screen flow that says, do you want to delete these? And then there is a delete records element that deletes all the tasks. And the way we call the flow or activate it is we either use a component or an action. So the component is what's on the record page. Whoops, too many windows open. I was navigating all around my screen. Were y'all seeing that? Y'all weren't before.
No.
Oh, fudge. I'm sorry. It said something I guess you didn't realize. Okay. I usually share this other screen. I did it wrong. Anyway, so we're going to go, when I say component, this is a component on the screen. And this, where I was looking before, this is the level field, the previous level field. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Okay. Um, so I will go over that again after we go to the flows if anybody was confused. So like I said, the first thing we're going to do is create a screen flow to delete the tasks. And this is going to sit on the engagement plan. I'm just going to duplicate this window and have it over here for me because I already built one. But I'm going to do it from scratch for y'all. So if you have two screens and want to follow along, you can. So you can see I have a delete engagement plan tasks that I had already built. I'm going to show us, but this is what we're going to end up with. The other thing is, if you didn't want to delete them, you could create a new status on the task, and instead of having a delete records option, we could update the records, update all the tasks that were not started with leveled up, or whatever you'd want to call that status. So I went to flows in the setup. I clicked on new flow. I clicked on screen flow, and then freeform is what I like to do. They have this auto layout that makes it look like this. I'm just used to the freeform. So with the auto layout, I believe you pick what you want to do, what element you want to create by clicking on the plus sign, and then you get you look at what you need there. But again, I'm just used to pulling them over from this elements table, so that's what I'm going to do, but you can do it either way. So a screen element is just sort of as a pop-up that asks questions and is a user interface that the users can see. And what we're going to deal with is these data elements and one screen element. I'm not going to I don't want to go from here to here like like I talked about how I feel when I'm looking at development trailhead. So let's just start. Let's iterate down to getting to some of these more complex things on another day. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull over. I want to get all the tasks. So hold on just a second. I'm going to pull up what I already built so that I don't screw this up. Okay, so yes, I want to get all the tasks associated with the engagement plan that I'm going to click on a delete all tasks action or a delete all tasks component. So the way I figured out to do this is delete all the tasks in one click before you delete the engagement plan. So I'm not doing this automatically when I delete an engagement plan to loop through all the tasks and delete those too. I'm just doing a manual, okay, I'm going to instruct the user to click on delete all tasks before they click on delete engagement plan. So this is a little bit more user adoption. We're going to get into one that's automatic, but I just want to show you what you can do simply just to start if you're trying to do like a quick fix. So it's like, oh, what can I come up with really quickly that I can program in, 5 minutes? So I'm pulling over a get records element, and I'm just going to call it get tasks. And I'm going to choose the task object. And I'm going to say, I want the engagement plan that equals a variable. So this is the part where Dottie was saying she was getting confused. So in flows, you have to create variables to match up with the metadata or the API names in Salesforce. So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a variable called record ID that Salesforce can know. Salesforce is programmed when you name something record ID and it is case sensitive, I read, then Salesforce knows that you want, when you name a variable that, you want to call the record that you're initiating the action from. That's Salesforce just knows that. So whenever we're trying to get the initial ID for the main object, in this case that we're using, that the activity that we're trying to do is engaging from, we want to name it record ID. For you have to do that for an action. You can name it something else if you want from a flow component, and I'll show you that later.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Can you call it account ID if you wanted to, or does it have to be record ID?
For calling it from an action, so for calling it, if I wanted to say new note or something, you know, if I wanted to do an action to do to initiate a flow, and I wanted it to take into account this record that I'm initiating it from, it has to be record ID.
Okay, gotcha.
If we want to build it into an action that initiates from one individual record. So I am going to store all the records because I want to get all the tasks from the engagement plan that I initiate from that's associated with this record ID, and I want it to automatically store all the fields. So this would be the same if you wanted to get all the records from one related list from one record that you're initiating from an action. So it would be the same thing, just with a different object. So this is always going to be the object that's in the related list that you're trying to get, and this will always be the object you're starting with. So that's how you would start to think about this.
Sarah, can I ask a question? Why is it that you use task instead of engagement plan task?
Because that's a different object. So the engagement plan tasks are associated with the template.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay.
So,
okay. That makes
so
sense.
the engagement plan tasks are tasks themselves. They are the outline of what the tasks are. So we are just doing the ones from the engagement plan themselves.
So once they've been assigned to the record, whether it be an account or a contact,
so
it's its own thing.
From
Okay.
the account.
Okay, great.
So,
Thank you.
So this one. So we're going to put an action here, and then we're going to delete these tasks, which you can see I already did, but there would be 6 tasks here. That's what we're getting when we initiate this flow. So then the next thing I want to do, now that I built the get tasks, is I want a screen element, just in case the person, you don't have to have this for the action. You have to have it if you add it as a component on the record. But just in case the person accidentally hits the button, right? Are you sure?
Sarah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I got another question.
Sure.
Back when you said you wanted to get the variable, why didn't we just, because there's variable and then record and there's a couple other choices, why didn't we just do the record instead of a variable?
You might be able to do that.
Okay.
I don't. I think when you're grabbing a record in a flow, when I've done those, it's been a more complex flow.
Okay.
I'm doing this because that's how I found to do it online. I'm sure that there's, like Salesforce is, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So this is, like I said, what I'm trying to do right here is the simplest solution to our use case.
Okay.
But maybe we could experiment with that after we go through all the steps today, if people want to hang on the call. So then this screen flow has lots of different elements. We're gonna do display text because that's just our question. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna just call it delete the flow verification. I'm just gonna put delete this flow question mark. And then I'm gonna put a checkbox. Or maybe this needs to be called delete this flow. We'll see what it looks like. How did I gotta look. Right, I didn't put the display. And it's not delete this flow. Delete this, delete all task records. So that's what this will look like. Are you sure you want to delete all the tasks? I can set the component visibility. When it's displayed as a component, I could put it always, or I could put some conditions against it if I wanted. And then I could put an error message if I wanted, or I could provide some help text. I'm not going to do that. Like I said, we're trying to get to the simplest, quickest way. And this is when I'm going to delete my records. So I'm going to call this delete tasks related to engagement plan. And I'm going to use the ID stored in the get tasks. And if I wanted to just do the ones that were not started, I'll show you how that's how we're gonna do it in the next flow. But in this case, the use case is the person wants to delete the engagement plans and all the associated tasks. So we're not going to get that complicated. We're just gonna get all the tasks related to the one where we start our action. And then we're going to say, are you sure you want to delete them? And then we're going to delete them. So I'm going to press save. And then I have to activate my flow for it to work. So now, because I activated it, I can program it into an action. So I'm going to click on Object Manager and go to Engagement Plan. Button links and actions. And I'm going to create a new action called, and then I'm going to call the flow. And this is the one I just built. Delete tasks on EP. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call this delete all tasks as the label. And I'm going to call it 2 here because I already did this once in the sandbox or in this dev.org. But you don't have to do that. This is just, I had to name it something different for the API. And then after I create that action, I need to put it on the page layout of the engagement plan object. So I click on page layout, engagement plan layout, mobile lightning actions, and right here, it'll probably, if you haven't edited this page layout before, it'll say something like override the standard. Just click on that override button and then click on lightning actions, and then you can see I'm looking for this one with 2. If you hover over the action, if you happen to name something like this is named new account twice. So this one's from NPSP and this one is from standard Salesforce. So you can hover and see the API name. And I'm going to click it, make it so it's the first one that you see. So it's actually going to look like a button rather than that drop down, but you can put it wherever you want and it'll just be in the order. So if I refresh the page of this engagement plan, you'll see my action now. So I'm gonna, this one doesn't have any tasks, right? Okay, so we're gonna go to an account and we're going to put this person in a new engagement plan, or wait, they do have, we're gonna click on this engagement plan. And we see all the related tasks to it. So we're gonna click on delete all tasks. And then I'm gonna check off the box, delete all task records, press next, and then it deleted all of them. And now I can delete my engagement plan and the tasks associated with this person are only from this one. So I can do the same thing on here. I can delete all the tasks. Yes, I want to delete all the task records. And then I can delete this engagement plan. And now you see all the tasks are gone. So for those instances when you've accidentally added some, this is how you would do it. Do people want like 5 minutes to try it in their own org, or have you been following along? You take a poll.
Sarah, sorry, can I ask
I
another
liked
question?
it.
Yes.
Could you do this right from the account object? So say you're on the detail page, could you add a button to the account object and have it call that engagement plan, or do you need to be in the engagement plan object or the engagement plan record that is directly related to this account?
I'm sure you could.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's fine.
Like I said, I was trying to think of the simplest solution for like a intermediate admin to really like do something quickly based on use case. So the easiest way when you're dealing with some kind of mass thing on related lists would be to do it from the parent object on the related list. But yes, I mean, you could follow the path. The thing that would be difficult about that is that you could have more than one engagement plan.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to do a record collection of all the engagement plans and a record collection of all the tasks related to all those engagement plans, then you could put it on the account because you wouldn't have to specify which ones they were. Or you could put some conditions on there if you had some kind of checkbox indicating which one was the most recent created engagement plan, and only so I just don't see as much of a use case for that, and it's more difficult to program.
Hey,
Thanks.
Sarah.
Yes.
So what you just built, if we had 5 people that were at the bronze level, let's say, and then you said, I'm going to build a flow that deletes all the tasks for the bronze engagement plan. When you sit on that engagement plan and say delete all tasks, it would delete all tasks for the 5 people that
Oh,
had been
no.
assigned
No,
that
it's-
engagement plan.
It's only going to be the engagement plan related to the account you're on.
Okay.
So the engagement plan template is what's creating those tasks on the engagement plan. It's 2 different objects. If you
Okay.
wanted to delete, and then if you wanted to delete some of the tasks from your engagement plan template, these would also not automatically delete from the tasks that already exist. So if you deleted the thank you note from client and there was already a task, thank you note from client on a different account, then that wouldn't work. Now, Voki says yours is missing one
Yeah, I
resource.
think I missed one step while you were doing the flow.
Okay, so
I have the start, I have get records, then the screen. I think the screen.
right, and you know what? You
Yeah.
actually don't have to have the screen.
Okay.
So if I went to the one that I just created, which let me refresh, figure out which one that is. Delete tasks on EP. That's the one I did.
Yeah, that's the one you did.
If I don't do this is just the verification to make sure that the person really meant to hit that button.
Okay.
So I just deleted that screen. I'm going to say save as. It's going to be a new version of this because when I save and activate this, now it's the flow that's attached to my button. Even I don't have to do any more steps now that I've changed the flow and I already had the action, because now it's going to call the most recent activated version. So if then I go to an account and the account has, I put an engagement plan on the account. Gold, say. And this one, it looks like it did have some tasks already that hadn't been deleted. But if I go to this engagement plan and I click on my delete all tasks actions, it's just going to have a pop-up for the person that says your flow finished. So that's another reason to do the verification, is because they might not know what that means. And I looked it up and there is an idea in the idea center to not have that pop up, and it only has 200 points. So that means that don't really care about that, or they haven't written that many flows that call from actions. The other piece of it that you can do is going to be if I went to edit page. So instead of having the action, I could have it as a component. Oh, but I have to go back. It couldn't be a component on because it's not a screen anymore. So I would go back if I wanted it to be a screen component and I had originally built it with a screen. I would have to go back over here and you have to click on this little area, this arrow, and click on view details and versions. And then activate on the first version of your flow. So then I could, on the engagement lightning record page, I could type in flow and pull it over here, and it's going to let me pick from all the screen flows that I have. And and you can see I could rename what it was called up here. It doesn't have to be named, or maybe it does. Let's see. No, I can't change the label here. So whatever label you want, that's what's going to show up on your component. So that's good to know. And then I have to click on pass record ID. into this variable. So now it's going to pass that record ID into the variable and press save. So if we go back to an engagement plan, we see it right there. So I wouldn't necessarily have to have the action. I could have something sitting on the page all the time. That doesn't, the action makes more sense in this use case. But if you wanted to ask even more questions, you could do it here too, if you wanted it to be static on the page for whatever reason. Okay, y'all ready for the complex one? I know we're at 1:45, or 45 past the hour, since we're all in different time zones.
I'm still awake. I'm ready.
Okay. All right, so the next use case is, as a major gift officers, I want all open tasks associated with a level to be deleted when the donor changes the level. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an auto launch flow that gets the level ID, the engagement plan ID, and all the open tasks associated with the engagement plan that's related to the level and account. So let me show you again. See if I have it open. Yeah, here. What that looks like in an entity relationship diagram. So we have the account that's connected to our engagement plan, that's connected to the tasks. And our engagement plan is connected to an engagement plan template, which is associated with the level, which is associated with the previous level. And both of these levels, actually, I don't have the drawing, both of these levels are associated with an account. So the common variables that we have are the account on the level, are the account ID and the engagement plan template ID. Those are the common fields we have from the actual engagement plan. So this flow will not work if on this flow we're about to build, if you have on your org, sorry, I'm trying to pull over so if we have on the org, if we go to an engagement plan, template, it could get sticky if on the engagement plan template you have more than one level associated with it. So this scenario that I have, it might fail or it might not delete the right tasks if you built your levels and use the same engagement plan template for all the levels. This one that I built assumes that the engagement plan templates are different. So if I go to flows.
So Sarah, you're saying a best practice is one level per engagement plan template?
If that's how you want it to function. So if you want, it doesn't matter what level they're at and you don't want to differentiate it, or you don't want to close out any tasks that are on the associated ones. I don't know, like I feel like I don't want to say this is best practice because there might be orgs that need to do it another way. But if what you want in the moves management process is to, and for these particular levels, if in the moves management process all you want is to have an engagement plan that's associated with a particular monetary value, then you will want to have one-to-one for the solution that I came up with.
Okay, yep, that makes sense.
But levels don't have to be associated with an engagement plan template either. They can be manually assigned, or you could manually assign it at the first level, and all the next levels are just for reporting purposes, like volunteer hours, and you have the same tasks. It doesn't matter what level the volunteer is at. They're always going to be engaged at the same intervals throughout the year. So at the end, once I finish, this is what our flow is going to look like, and it'll be launched from a process builder. So I'm gonna pull this over here for my own reference, because I know I got it to work. And I did get errors while I was trying to figure out how to build it. I always get errors when I'm trying to figure out how to build flows, but you will get an alert via email, and you can read through and try to figure out, okay, what happened. So I'll show you some of those in a minute. So if I click on new flow, and again, I don't know if there's a more efficient way to do this. There probably is. And if you play around this week and figure that out, please put it in the LinkedIn group. But this is the way I figured out how to do it. So, and some of it's based on those errors I got. So I went ahead and just covered all my bases. And since I am associating I'm trying to grab the level, the engagement plan, all the tasks on that engagement plan, and that's how I'm kind of all relating it back to the account. So what I do in a lot of flows that I've built and that involve two objects that I'm trying to do an action on, whether I'm trying to update something or in this case, delete out records, I always try to think about, okay, what do these things have in common that I'm getting? And that's where, Dottie, this is where the picking out the variables and figuring out the variables comes in. So I'm going to get records. And the first thing I'm going to do is get the level. And I'm going to type in level as the object. And I need to get the ID of the, hold on. Yeah, I'm going to get the ID of the level. And I do that by creating a text resource. I'll look into creating a record resource. This is just how I've done it for a very long time. And I always check off available for input and available for output, because like, what's the harm if I needed one of those to be input or output? If somebody wants to chime in and say what each of these mean, I feel like flows are confusing enough. So I've just kind of developed a way to try to troubleshoot. So this is not the most efficient way, again.
I would just add for clarification, because I was confused when I first saw this. It doesn't mean input and output from the element. It means input and output from the entire flow.
Okay. It means input and output from the entire flow. So if you need to call the level ID, which when you're creating these variables, for the most part, you're going to need to use them in another element or in your process. And that's why you're creating the variables. So when I create my process, the reason I'm getting this level, I want to be able to say to Salesforce, I want to get the engagement plan as the same engagement plan template and the same I'm going to create a resource that's engagement plan template ID. Engagement I'm creating a text variable for the ID. So I'm saying that I want to get the when my level becomes my previous level. So level ID then goes into the previous level ID. Then I want to grab the level ID. I want to grab all of the tasks from the engagement plan that has the same level ID and the same account ID as, or sorry, the same engagement plan template ID. So, because that connects, right? So our engagement plan template ID connects to our engagement plan, which that engagement plan is associated with the tasks, and it's associated with the level. So the things that our element are going to have in common are the account ID, the engagement plan template ID, and those two is what I'm matching up. I'm not going to match up the account ID until I get to my process, and you'll see where I do that. But for now, this is, I'm going to only store the first record to avoid that problem if there are more matching records that have the same account ID and engagement template ID on an engagement plan. That way I can specify the record I want to delete from. And like I said, we'll go, once it's built, we'll go over it again. So you can kind of see what's happening, because sometimes it's confusing when you're building the variables. So now I'm going to get the engagement plan. And I want to associate the same engagement. So the engagement plan has an engagement plan template. And this is where the variable comes in. So this variable is the same one I associated with the level. And I'm going to have an account ID that exists on the engagement plan. So I'm creating these text variables and calling them IDs. And then I'm going to only store the first engagement plan as well and automatically store all fields, because I don't want it to screw up and delete the wrong tasks. And I think I only need to delete the tasks on one engagement plan because I'm only doing it from one level. That was my, when I was thinking through it, that was my reasoning.
Sarah,
And
I have a
now,
question.
yeah.
So when you said account ID, you said it was case sensitive with the variables. Doesn't matter that you had account and then I and D,
Oh,
both in caps.
that only mattered in the first one when we were trying to pull the record ID that we were manually hitting from.
Gotcha. Okay.
This one's auto launched, so I'm getting to define what fields match up with which variables in my flow and in my process builder, so I can name them whatever I want.
Okay. Gotcha.
But,
Thank you.
but if I'm sure some people are, I'm a very type B personality and think broadly, so you could probably tell when I'm naming stuff. I might name them really long and I'm not consistent, and I know that that's that can be a flaw if somebody came behind me and is more picky than that. So what I've just typed in here is I only want to pull the open tasks. So I only want to pull the ones that are not started, because I want to be able to keep a record. That engagement plan is not going to be deleted when the level changes. And I want to keep a record of all the things that, all the touch points I have had on this donor. So I'm going to status not started. And then I'm going to pick my engagement plan. Which is from this get variable. So the one we did before when we got the engagement plan. Now I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use the ID. So it let me select the record collection variable, and it let me say which field in that record variable that I wanted from the previous step. And then again, I'm trying to find all the similar fields between all these things I want to do. So I'm going to pull the account ID that's on the task as well, that's associated with the task. And I'm going to store all the records though this time, because I want to get all the tasks that are associated with my engagement plan that have the status of not started. So all the tasks from my account where that level is changing, that has the same that level was associated with this engagement plan, or that level had the same engagement plan template as the engagement plan on my record. And now what I'm doing is I'm just connecting all the elements, but then I have one more element to do, right? So I need to delete all the open tasks that I just gathered. So I'm just going to click on delete open task, or I'm going to type it in and use the IDs from a record variable or record collection variable, and then task from open IDs, get from my get open tasks on previous level element. That's what I'm going to delete, all those records that were gotten when my flow was initiated. So now I'm going to save this, and we're going to build our process. Does anybody have questions before I move on to the next? I'm only putting 2 because I built another one in this. Okay, so we've built our auto launched flow, but it's not actually being called by anything right now. We're just we've just started it. So now we're going to build a process. So we go to our backend and we type in process builder. And our process at the end is going to look like this. So I'm going to call it when on the account object, when the previous level is changed equals true. And just to cover my bases, I put previous level is null equals false, just in case for whatever reason you blanked it out and then it didn't find what you were looking for because you were trying to call from that record, from that previous level field for the flow. I didn't want the flow to fail. So I put that the previous level has to be filled in and it has changed. So then we're going to launch our flow. We're going to delete all the open tasks on the previous level. That's the flow. That's what I named it. And then engagement plan template ID is our flow variable that I'm going to match up with the previous level's engagement plan template ID. So this is where I'm matching, okay, how are you going to find the right record, right? I'm finding your common fields. So in the engagement plan template ID on the flow is going to equal the level engagement plan template ID. The account ID is just going to be the ID that started the account. The level ID is going to be what's on the previous level. So that is what's gonna, the account ID being the same and the engagement plan template being the same is how it's gonna figure out which engagement plan to delete. So I'll go ahead and build that again with the one I just built. So account, when a record is created or edited, that's the object you're going to select. And if you're typing in, you don't want to take a field from the previous level. So you want this one, the __ C. And then I'm going to say is changed equals true. That's when I want it to fire. And then I'm going to say the same field is null equals false. Then I'm going to click on my flow. Actually, I'm going to delete this one because we're going to do it again. So now I'm going to pick flow as my action type. And I can call it launch flow or delete tasks flow, whatever makes the most sense to you. And it looks like I did not activate this one. So I need to activate it in order for this one that I just built that's the same as my other one to show up. So I am going to see if it shows up now if I add the action. So if you don't see yours there, that's why. I know I could add the one that I already built that I tested earlier that I know works, but I just want to make sure I did all the steps right in case I missed something and then all of ours aren't working but mine. So here's the second one I created, and that's there now because I activated it, so I missed a step. And now when I click on add row, it's going to give me all the variables that I created, the 3 variables I created in my flow. And this is going to be a field reference. And this is going to be the previous levels engagement plan template ID. So not the arrow.
I thought you did __ C.
That is __
Oh, I'm
C.
sorry. I didn't see. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So when that's one thing that kind of can be confusing when you're typing it in and you're kind of iterating out and it's a lookup field, you just make sure that what you're ending up with is not, it's not a field on the engagement plan template, it's the engagement plan template itself. So it's the second one without the arrow.
Okay, thank you.
And then we're going to do the account ID. Field reference is the ID that started this process. Because all of these field references have to be on this account. And then the level ID that we're calling those common fields, that engagement template ID, and so the engagement plan that has the same engagement template ID as the level and the same account as the level is going to be from the previous level. So it's going to update when, like, the order of execution will actually, when that person hits that next level, so I give $10,000 and I hit the gold or platinum level, then the previous level that I was at will automatically fill in before this process runs. or I mean, you don't see it, you don't see it until after the process runs, but in terms of order of execution, you're going to be able to pull from the previous level field. If you pulled from the level field, it would be that new platinum level, because Salesforce already knows it's updating that. So I'm going to press save, and I'm going to activate it and confirm my activation. So now we can test. So if I go to an account, so we're going to start again for household accounts. And I'm going to click on the Cockling household. And you can see they don't have any engagement plans or opportunities. So I'm going to click on new account donation. And I don't know why it's coming to this Visualforce screen when I do that, but I'm not going to. Then I'm going to automatically rename this. So I'm just going to put the person's name, and we'll do Cockling household. And Charlie Cockling is the primary contact. You don't need the close date as today. Let's put him at the bronze level to start. So that'll be 250, and I'll press save. Oh, whoops, I'm missing something. Oh, stage, needs to be closed 1, duh. Okay. And remember, like I said, when you go to the account details, the level's not automatically going to fill in until the batch runs at 2 a.m. the next day, or you force it to run. So we're going to force it to run. Level assignment batch, run batch. And there, it did it. 1 of 1. It only needed to upgrade 1. So then we're going to go back to that account and do another new account donation. So wait, let's see. Let me refresh the screen again. Sometimes it takes a minute for that engagement plan to fill in. So you can see I leveled up to bronze, and I have all these tasks associated with the account, and the engagement plan is there, and you can see the related tasks associated with the engagement plan and the account ID, right? So we can see engagement plan template. And if you don't have some of these fields on your layout, I pulled some fields into my layout to make sure that this was working properly. So you can pull any of these fields onto your engagement plan layout if it doesn't look exactly the same. So now we're going to do it again. So the Cockling household, it doesn't matter, it's going to rename it. And now, I actually meant to do 2,500. I didn't mean to do 250. So I'm gonna put 2,250 in. So now it's gonna add up to 2,500. And it's gonna be a closed 1 opportunity. And I'm gonna save it. And if I go to my Cockling household, you'll see the levels haven't changed because we need to force that change again. So we're going to do that. Level assignment batch, run batch, fingers crossed, the flow works. Yes, okay. So if you had done something wrong in your flow when you did this, it would turn yellow and you would get an email. with all the errors of what happened. So then if I go back to my account now, Cockling household, if I go to the first engagement plan template, there's no tasks related to it, and none of the tasks are still in my account. If I had changed one of those tasks to completed, it would still be there. I should have done that. You can do that when you test yours. And then I have all these tasks related, so it worked. Woo, magic. It's very satisfying when you write a flow and it works, because it does feel like magic, or it does to me still, because I'm still trying to understand what all the variables and things mean. So I might be following along of something I Googled and didn't exactly know what happened. So I just show you some of the errors. Well, this one didn't tell me anything. It was just something went wrong. So that didn't help. And that was when I tried to debug it, which if you're not familiar with that, when you run a flow, you can, rather than doing the process that I just did to test it, you can test it from this debug environment, and you plug in all your required fields, account ID, engagement plan ID, and level ID. And if I did that, so if I did that with this one, my engagement plan template ID is silver. Oh, that's this one. My account ID is this. And the level ID is this. So then if I run it, all done. That it successfully deleted all these tasks. So, and when you debug it and you're putting those in, it actually does do it. So if I go to the engagement plan on that account I was just on that I used in the debug, it did all the tasks. So if you're testing it, don't do it with a real record if you don't want it to delete.
I think there's a rollback option, isn't there?
Oh, is there? See, learn something new every day. Where is it?
I forget. Maybe when you click run again, is there some options before it runs?
Something went wrong because it didn't find any tasks. It didn't find any tasks because we deleted them.
Try change input.
Then you can change the inputs.
And is there a rollback option?
Oh,
Yeah, right there.
I didn't know that was there. Please. Okay. So now everybody's going to go to their nonprofit and do this, right? And again, you could have, instead of deleting the tasks, you could create a status.
Sorry, Sarah, something is happening to your sound.
Oh, can you hear
You
me?
sound like RoboCop now or something.
Still?
Still. It's the same. Maybe if you turn off your video, sometimes it might help.
What if I move my computer? No, it's still there.
Yeah, it's still the same.
Oh, so what changed in the last 3 minutes?
Our excitement, I know that.
She ran the flow. That's what happened. She ran the flow.
Yeah, exactly.
Now she can't roll it back.
Well, I want to take the opportunity to say that it's super impressive that Sarah has mastered flows and that she is able to demo live. It's very, very impressive. It's very hard to do, and it goes amazingly smoothly. So kudos.
Yeah.
Major
Thank you.
Yeah, so definitely.
I think I have to replay this video maybe about 3-4 times before I can get what she did. But that was a
Same. Same.
Yes.
I think she's gonna come back. I hope.
come back, Sarah. We're not done with you yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
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 Okay.
There you go.
Now I have my sound through, or my microphone through my webcam.
Much better.
Back
You
up.
sound nice and clear.
You're not underwater anymore.
All right, I don't know what happened. I guess I moved my computer and it started making noise. It took me forever. I was constantly on these calls with work and they were like, your sound is just buzzing, and I was constantly having to call in, and it was because I had monitors that I can close my laptop when I'm working, and the laptop was making noise even if I have my headsets set in. But you see, I have it open, so I don't know why it made the buzzing. Anyway, yay! I hope this is good, and then I'll try to write this up too and post in the LinkedIn group. So Voki, you don't have to watch the video 3 times. I mean, I feel free to, but I'll try to take screenshots and get it where it works. And then maybe I'll even try to get it on the App Exchange because I'm a Salesforce partner. We'll see.
What does that mean? You mentioned that in the beginning. You said some solutions. Does that mean like people you help people?
Yeah, so let me show you. It's something you can get on Salesforce's App Exchange. Are you seeing
I see your Gmail.
App Exchange right now? Is that what you're seeing?
I see your Gmail.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Now you see the App Exchange?
Yes.
Okay. You can go to product collections and not product solutions by type and click on flow solutions. And people have made, like there's a bunch of Salesforce Lab ones where people have made flows that you can just like kind of start from and load into your instance. Let's see what this flow error handling one is. That'd be interesting. It helps admins quickly see where a flow error occurred. The template includes it sends information to a subflow, which emails the admin and current running user when faults occur. So it just sends you a more easy to read error email. So you would get that error email anyway, but it's going to send one that's a little easier to read, I guess, is what this flow solution that somebody built does.
So you could download this flow to your org from the App Exchange and use it.
Wow, get the
So
bebop out of here.
If I take this flow that I built and put it on the App Exchange, then people will like it, maybe. I don't know how long it takes to get it approved. To Salesforce, to put something on App Exchange, they have a security review. And I don't know how long that would take for a flow. But if I was gonna do that, I'd hire somebody to help me do it who's done it before so I can learn.
Yeah, I know when you put apps on there, it costs $1,000, and then each time it gets denied, you have to pay $1,000, I think.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
I
yeah.
didn't know that. I am a Salesforce consulting partner. That's good to know. Maybe I don't want to put it on there.
Yeah,
Maybe if it's a free flow, the only
I don't know.
is to try to upsell a nonprofit to hire me.
Is there a specific area for nonprofit flows or nonprofit?
Doesn't look like it. That's the thing, is I only see these ones when I click on that. I mean, let's see. If we type in NPSP to the search, and we click on the solution type, it doesn't have flows as an option. It used to. Maybe components would, because that's lightning components.
I'm assuming because maybe you can do a flow in any org and then you just change your fields.
True, yeah.
Right, but I just remember when they first introduced this flow solutions available in the App Exchange, there was a filter here for it. It looks like it's changed.
Well, thanks for checking that out.
Yeah. But soon there will be, clearly, right? Technopath, Sarah is going to build all these flow solutions for nonprofits and put them all on the App Exchange. Pay thousands of dollars to give it away for free.
What edition is NPSP? What edition is NPSP? Is it like professional, enterprise?
Oh, no, it's enterprise. It's just a app package that sits on top of enterprise edition. Because they give 10 free enterprise licenses to people. I don't know which objects, if you were a platform user on an enterprise org, I think you could, I mean, it's just the same. You could still do accounts, contacts, and custom objects, but I don't think you could put it on top of an essentials because they have so many custom objects, like engagement plans and levels.
This seems like a good moment to sing the praises of Kathy Olney, who's on this call, who I met either through this group or another one recently. And I told her that I was surprised that to use the NPSP data loader template, which is supposed to help with putting contacts into the same household. But if you're starting with a list of individual contacts with all the data in the same spot, the template wants you to put the first person in the contact 1 fields and the second person in the contact 2 fields. And then if you have a third person, put the first person in contact 1 and the third person in contact 2, and so on. And if you can do that, then when you import it into Salesforce and run the NPSP import process, it will auto-magically, create the household with all the people in it and create all those relationships without having to sort of do it one step at a time. But the question in my mind was, how do we take a list of hundreds of thousands of contacts and format them that way efficiently, and not by hand, one by one? And I've looked and looked and not seen a solution. If anybody knows of one, I'd love to hear of it. So I posed this to Kathy, and she has built something. And as of yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but we were saying that if it works, maybe she could put that on the App Exchange, but hopefully it won't cost her thousands of dollars to do that.
Yeah, so what I built was a spreadsheet basically that has a Visual Basic program in it, and it does the copying in the new format. And if people are having the same problem that that Dottie is, then I'd be happy to demo it to people, either in this group or separately.
Sarah, you're muted.
I don't know if everybody has seen this before, but this is what Dottie was talking about. So NPSP has its own data importer functionality that is separate from your data loader and your data import wizard that you learn about when you're learning about Salesforce. It has its own where you could use this template to put multiple contacts in the same household into one sheet and what these accounts look like. If you're willing to share your screen and have that solution pulled up, we'd love to see it.
The problem is I'm logged in on a tablet right now, so I'd have to leave the meeting and then rejoin, which I could do in a few minutes, but I don't know if people want to wait for me to do that.
Well, you'll share it with us soon, so.
Yeah, we'll work with it this week and see how it works, maybe tweak it and maybe demo it. Is this meeting happening next week?
Probably not because of Christmas. So Christmas is next Saturday, right? Are you doing my math? Or is it
Friday, I think.
Friday. Oh, Friday. So Saturday. I'm assuming that people don't want to come. So how about then? What's the next Saturday?
New Year's.
That's New Year's.
Yeah.
The second. Oh, but it's the second. If enough people want to come, I'll do it. And maybe we can have a demo of your new solution. If you're available, Kathy.
Okay. Yep.
That's really cool.
So what if you have like a long weekend and you're just somewhere else?
There'll be a recording.
Oh, Sarah wants to see this. All right.
Okay. Well, that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions or use cases they want to discuss before we break?
Just curious, other than the App Exchange solutions, is there another place where you can look, like, for instance, say I wanted to do like a Salesforce for churches or something, and yeah, it's not very common, but is there like a website where you would go to see how you would implement it for a church org, like all the steps and things like that? Or I don't know. I thought there was something like that out there.
I would Google around, but if you're looking for it for a church, which screen do you see right now?
Your Zoom screen.
My Zoom.
Post attendee screen.
Okay. Yeah. I found this one because I met with somebody who needs, I think it's called Breeze Church Management. Something like that. This is really cool. It's not Salesforce. It doesn't integrate with Salesforce, but you can click on it and you can get a trial org like right away without even really putting in too much information, and you're in it. I think it's that. I'll look it up, but I'll share it with you. It's only $50 a month for unlimited users. It's based on events and contacts and accounts. So it has everything, but it's really event based, which is what churches are. So they really don't need as much of a complex solution as Salesforce. I feel like I think that is probably, if you have people who aren't gonna want to learn any of the admin stuff, it's really cool for a church. I'm
Well,
recommending it to the person who came to me for Salesforce because I don't think everybody should use it if it's
it's not necessarily like a church. That was just an example. I mean, like, say you want to set up for like a university or a church or
oh, universities, they have education cloud.
right, but if you've never done it before and you want to set it up for them, is there like someone says, "Oh, this is how I set up mine, and these are the steps that I followed to do it," or should I just go through Trailhead and then, or
I
you know
would
how like when you're in MPSP it says, "Oh, this is the post implementation steps."
oh, I don't know. I haven't dealt with education cloud. Has anybody else done that? I'm sure that there are implementation guides for education cloud.
Okay, yeah, I was just
Higher
curious.
ed. Yeah.
So if I may speak to that, there's an implementation guide for NPSP that I think is pretty slim. I mean, it's a start, but it's not a workbook. It doesn't go into a lot of detail, especially not around donation coding and the fields that you need to map to in order to make donor segmentation and donation coding work. So that's something that I'm eager to find if anyone is willing to share.
I'm building one of those out.
Awesome. I'd love to see that. I'm also working on
basically,
that.
So what I'm trying to do, and I meant to bring this up a couple weeks ago. So basically, I'm trying to make a 12-step guide for requesting and setting up your NPSP, or if you're from a nonprofit perspective, and some of those worksheets that I gave y'all in terms of engagement plan, thinking through, I'm having some more like stakeholder kind of worksheets for the executive directors and major gift officers to kind of think through how they would want Salesforce to be set up without actually asking them and telling them how the sausage is made. Just kind of, but then also have those steps and workbooks, so that if they choose to fill out those and get those first packages, which I'm going to have for free, where they kind of strategically plan those levels and how people would be moved through the system and what their volunteers look like. If they then want to follow the 12 steps, they can purchase to do the 12 steps. Or if they want somebody else to set it up for them, that's how I'm going to start doing my apprenticeship program. So those looking for their first job, if the people filled out the stakeholder sheet, like I want it at this level and I want my volunteer module to do this, this, and this, like the actual like stakeholder requirements gathering piece will be done on these worksheets. And if they want an apprentice to set it up, that's where Technopath could then pay you to follow those 12 steps. So that's kind of what I've been trying to think through, Dottie, is how to make it as simple as possible.
That is the challenge. For myself, I've seen, sadly, several nonprofits where I feel like the data was imported without a lot of planning and thinking it through, and then they just sort of stumble and struggle along for years until someone can think it through. So I'm doing my first implementation now, and I said to them, I won't implement for just anyone because, as you said, I don't think Salesforce is really for every small nonprofit that is, if they're not adequately resourced to leverage it. This one is, and so I've been embarked with them, and I've said to them, I don't want to just import your data and let you struggle with it. I want to try to front load by thinking these things through ahead of time, which is hard because they don't know Salesforce yet. So but they're beginning the learning process, and I'm trying to help them learn and learn their businesses and try to map that from the get-go.
Exactly. And it's needed. It's definitely needed. And even that small nonprofit that I used as an example of Stride Ahead with the horse therapy last week or 2 weeks ago, they really don't have the resources to do anything, do much of anything. But I do think for them, even though they're super small, the volunteer management piece of it is actually going to help them a lot. And so I would recommend it for them as they grow, possibly just for automating some of that. There might be a better solution out there, but they don't have even the capacity to do anything but get a volunteer like me to set them up. So it just depends. And hopefully they grow and then they can have staff to learn Salesforce and such.
Can you say more about your plans for an apprenticeship program?
Sure. Hold on just a second. I'm going to pull something up so y'all can see it. So that was always my intent when I formed my consulting company, is to kind of be that bridge. Because the gap is there's trails literally, for you to learn this stuff. But then to get that first experience, even if you just get a couple months of experience, a lot of times you can get that first thing. So if I open, y'all are getting the inside view. I would probably cut this off on the recording. So my plan is people are applying to be part of the apprenticeship program. If they're already certified, if they're not already certified, I'm going to give them the free resources to study or recommend my class that I'm launching in February. If they have Salesforce experience, I'll do an interview to base whether or not they have the skills to do a larger project. And if they do, then whatever I have in the pipeline, which I'm trying to build right now, then you'll sit in the consultation with that person. And once the scope of work is assigned, that person who has experience and is ready for larger projects would be assigned one of the larger projects. If they don't have any Salesforce experience, we'll do like a skills-based assessment, like soft skills and that sort of thing. And then if I think they need more training, maybe I'll have some additional training or something. And then they can be assigned the project that would be the nonprofits that didn't want to do the self-implementation that I spoke of. So the outline of that self-implementation that I haven't done all this yet. This is just kind of in the works. But it's going to look like this. So identifying your pain points and some of that, thinking through what you want, worksheets and stuff, and then how to apply for your free trial and do the Power of Us program and download NPSP, and then just set up your permissions, set up your settings, do your data load, set up volunteer programs, all of that. Like I'm trying to do it in 12, it's not 12 easy steps, it's kind of a complex process, but 3 minutes here, 5 minutes here, talking you through, stepping you through it. So maybe a nonprofit that couldn't afford anything much, or they could only afford to buy this do-it-yourself class, they could have an intern do it or something. So that's my plan for the apprenticeship program. 2021 is going to be the year. Hopefully we can get it done. We'll see.
That is fabulous. So much needed, I think, in the ecosystem. It will serve everyone, right? It will serve the nonprofits. It will serve people who want to become admins, get experience.
Right. I kind of want to develop a community, a membership community. That, I mean, obviously Salesforce has its own communities, but it's so vast. I want to be like a pocket that is a little bit more easy to grasp. Like you don't drown in all of the vast amounts of information that there are. So we'll see. Hopefully it'll work. Hopefully if any of you want to be apprentices, we can get there and have nonprofits in the pipeline. We'll see.
I'll be the number one on the list.
Wait,
Yes.
I want to be number one.
You're all number one.
I'll just be number
It's a
two.
group effort. You're the number one group on the list. Okay. Yes, so I will let you know when it kind of starts flowing. I'm really hoping. It's a lot of work to get it all set up, especially when you're trying to work full time. So fingers crossed that it happens. And if once I do have it set up, if you know nonprofits that are interested in kind of, because the goal would be, even if they did the self-implementation, that then they'd come back to Technopath to get help, and we can use the apprenticeship program so that they're not paying $225 an hour for a consultant when they don't need anything that robust, or they just don't have the budget for that. So the free program is for any nonprofit that has a budget of $250,000 or less. But then kind of tier it. This is my thought, is that we can have, and you guys can, you think of this, sort of like when you go to get your hair done, or, I mean, some of you might not know this, but if you went to a fancy salon, you have like your tier 1 people, and you can get a $40 haircut, and then 60, and then 80, and then, you know, the top designer is like $120 haircut. So that's kind of how I'm thinking of it, is like, okay, well, if it's a tier 1 task, then the tier 1 apprentice would get the tier 1 task of the project, and they're paid like $10 an hour. You know, like I want to pay them and not just do all these volunteer projects, because then, and I don't want the nonprofits, unless they have less than $250K of a budget, to do it for free, because what I've found is that then they don't have any onus to give information you need. So that's the other reason that I'm trying to build this structure in, where they have to fill out the worksheets. They might not know how the worksheets apply to do an engagement plan and to do some of this moves management that we're learning, but we'll know. And then some of that pull that's really hard to get out when you're doing a volunteer project, understandable, right? Like the person is busy. They're not thinking how this is going to help. Some people might have that forward thinking, but you might be just like drowning in trying to do what you're trying to do to keep your nonprofit going. And so you don't have time to really guide a student or somebody who's trying to learn it through, and the student have time, it doesn't know how to force them to give them the data that they need. So that's what I'm trying to develop, is a structure for that. So we'll see, hopefully more to come in 2021.
Is the idea that it would be a profit-making enterprise for you?
Yeah, I mean, I have my own business. So I tried this 5 years ago. So when I was starting out with Salesforce, I was just learning at the same time. Trailhead didn't have tons and tons of stuff on it yet when I was starting in 2015. And so I just started my own nonprofit to help nonprofits implement Salesforce. And I started teaching. I went through like they used to have, instead of Trailhead, they used to have this course that was like a video-based course that you could get for free if you were a nonprofit. So I just used that course and learned it, and then taught like 5 other people. We just went through it, and we got some projects from small nonprofits in North Carolina. And I didn't know what I was doing exactly. And it was, what's difficult about a nonprofit, if you're starting it as not a business. So my goal is not to be super rich, but the difficult part of a nonprofit is no one owns a nonprofit. You have to have a board of directors. And so basically you have to committee every decision to get things done. So I'm trying to accelerate the success of this with that same idea of getting people who are learning it to be able to work on these nonprofit projects, but to kind of, I have the autonomy to kind of decide which direction it goes in. Plus I make some money, but that's the, that's the kind of goal. It's altruistic, but also profitable.
No, I agree with you. I think, yeah, I would like to stop volunteering for the rest of my life. Someday I like eating.
Yeah, so that's the goal, is to make it so the first stop isn't even necessarily a volunteer stop. It's just that beginning fee, the beginning payment that you get. At 10, like I said, tier up. I haven't decided what level. Y'all can tell me what you think is fair. I'd like to know what different people think in terms of as you tier up. But I'm kind of thinking, my husband is a handyman, and so when he hires an assistant, the first week they're $10 an hour, the second week they're 11, the next week they're 12, then 13, then 14, then 15. And then if they work for him for a while, the goal is eventually he'd buy them their own truck, and then they're the handyman going around. And that's kind of the philosophy. I'm trying to figure out how it would work structurally to kind of, you know, get everybody up so that they're, or, you know, if they want to work at a consulting firm, once they have 4 or 5 months of experience and their LinkedIn profile looks good and they have a certification, there's such a gap in need that I think people will get hired. I think I'll be losing people pretty fast if this program is successful.
So you're helping them be successful, and that should make
Right. But I'm saying I think the people churning in and out will be fast just because people will get. So that's the goal, guys. Just to let you know, and if you have any ideas, it's still kind of, it's forming, but it's still in the formation stage. So if you know, anything I said like in the next couple of days looks like, or you say, hey, you know, this would be a good idea for your business, or I wish I had known this, or, you know, anything like that, just let me know and I'll try to incorporate it if it seems viable. Well, thank y'all. This has been fun. I love getting to know all y'all. I mean, even if I'm the one doing most of the talking.
This is just
Thank
a comment.
you so
for you
much.
to-
Thank you.
So, anyone on this call familiar with a band called the Bouncing Souls from New Jersey? Anyway, this has nothing to do with any presentation, but they have a song called Sarah Saturday. And for the last month and a half, that's gone through my head for 2 hours every Saturday.
Really? Oh, I'm gonna look it up
it's a
now.
great
Is it on
song.
YouTube?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
They're from Jersey?
Yeah, from New Jersey. Yeah.
Okay.
Asbury Park.
Bouncing what?
Bouncing Souls.
Souls. There's
Yeah.
also Bouncing Seals. That's the first
Could be the
that
theme
came up when I
YouTube.
typed in bouncing. Sarah Saturday.
Sarah Saturday with an A and every AH and everything.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
A new theme song, yeah.
Let's see. Let's see.
should definitely put that in the beginning of the recording.
What is there's some setting. There's some setting to make it so that people can hear your computer sound, right?
Very upbeat. I heard it. I like it.
Yeah, they're great. I think they're great anyway.
When you share your screen at the bottom, there's a choice to share with audio.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay. Advanced sharing options. I don't see it.
On the bottom left when you share the screen. It should say a little checkbox.
Okay, let's see. I don't see it. I feel like if I play it, it's.
YouTube,
We'll just see. You'll
your
see. We'll
YouTube
see if
screen
you can
isn't
hear it.
sharing. Oh, there we go.
You might be able to hear it just through my microphone.
Yeah, I think it's through your microphone.
We hear it.
I hear it.
Can y'all
though.
hear it?
Yeah.
I hear it.
There you go. So I'm not alone. Only been 6 weeks. It's been going through my head.
I love it.
Awesome. Great album too.
Cool.
The gold record from 2003 or 4, something like that.
Well, this is definitely going to be my favorite song from that record.
Great record. It's in my top 5 favorite songs on the album.
Wow.
Might not be
All
my
right.
favorite.
I feel special. I mean, not that they wrote it for me, but.
You don't know. You don't know. Nobody here knows it wasn't written for you.
Okay, now I gotta change my name to Sarah. Okay. I need a theme song.
Oh, right before. So my husband also is a circus performer. So he was a gymnast, and now like people pre-COVID hire him to like walk on stilts and things. And I was at the last year's Dreamforce, and we were at Vonage's party, and there were people there. Their theme was like flappers or something, and there were people there dancing. And then somebody told me they were hired there to just like kind of get the crowd dancing. And I was really hoping, like when I found that out last year, I called Adriel, my husband. He found an agent that has those people who will dance, and I love to dance. And I was really hoping pre-COVID that I would get paid to dance. and I'm telling you that I'll dance to this Sarah Saturday song for free. But
Well, you got 1 year to get your dance moves ready. So
my dance moves are solid.
okay, well then we'll see. We'll see then. I'm ready with the camera. I'm ready.
I'm ready. We did 2 choreographed dances at my wedding a couple months ago.
Wow.
Oh, congratulations.
I'll put those links
Congratulations.
in the LinkedIn group for anybody who wants to watch me and my husband dance around.
Sarah, you also got a job this year too, right? A new job?
Well, no, I mean, I have CDC Foundation, I have a contract, but I watched this video that said you should, if you're a consultant, you should put the place you have a contract on your LinkedIn. So I did that yesterday. So I got congrats on your new role, but I've been working there since July.
Yeah.
But thank you, Christian. Yes. It is a
Oh.
new role this year.
Before
Definitely.
I think the link that you shared was Bouncing Souls again. It wasn't your wedding.
No, I didn't share the wedding one yet.
Oh.
It looks like
Somebody else. Pamela did the Bouncing Souls one.
Oh. Sorry.
Your videos.
I'm too quick to see your moves.
You want to see it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm gonna like
So we
copy them, dance with them, because I'm changing my name to Sarah. You forget.
Yeah, well, we had a line dance that we did for people to do as a group, and then we had our slow dance, and both were choreographed. It's fun. Let's see, content.
So I have some little research projects that I need done. And if anybody would like to get a little bit of experience, not really in an org, but maybe in the Power of Us Hub and reading through documentation and maybe spin up an org and try some stuff out and then report back to me. And, I can then help with networking or resume review or, try to be helpful with people's job search. So feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in that.
Anybody else have any opportunities or things to announce or plug?
Maybe a theme song, I guess.
I'm glad we got a new theme song. Very excited for that. I'm going to listen to the whole thing, Ben.
Awesome. Awesome.
Maybe we can do our. Does anybody play an instrument?
Yeah.
You play guitar? Okay, we can write our own version.
Yeah.
I'll to rope in my partner. I know he plays instruments, and I really should be working on my bass ukulele.
See, we got a whole band.
Yeah.
I have an acoustic guitar. I played it back in 2003, 2004.
Oh, mandolin. Sure.
All of our some of our guitars.
Wow.
And bass ukulele, regular ukulele, and a mandolin.
Wow.
Well, what I really want to do is write some songs for studying for the Salesforce admin course. So I've been kind of trying to work on those lyrics too.
Do you have any ready for the NPSP consultant one?
I'll when I have some to share, I'll share them.
Okay.
It's not ready yet.
But nothing ready for the 27th?
Oh, you mean the nonprofit cloud conference?
The certification. I'm going for my cert on the 27th.
Oh, you're going for your cert on the 27th?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll think about it, Melissa. I'll see if I can get something together. Have you been taking practice tests?
I have. I found this one site that has like a ton of them. So going through, and I paid for it, so I'm forcing myself to use it. But they give answers, which is useful. Going through a lot of Dodie stuff, because any sort of research I'm just taking right now and making sure it's like I'm trying to balance like my time with my nonprofit that I'm volunteering with, because I'm like, oh, this is useful because like I'm working in NPSP to make it work for them, but I also need to know all the other things that they don't care about for their specific nonprofit. So it's a balance that I'm pulling in the next week.
Well, good luck. I have a friend taking it tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Fingers crossed she does well.
Yes, because it's nerve-wracking.
I'm wondering, what resource are you using, Melissa, for the practice tests?
What's it called? I think I only paid, it was only like $15. Let me find it.
Was it Focus on Force?
No.
$15 sounds like certified CRM.
Test prep training.
And how many do they give? How many practice tests?
Oh, There are 6 full-length practice tests. So there's a practice mode and an exam mode. And then they have topic, like specific topic-wise tests where you can go either in practice mode where they tell you about it or just straight up exam mode. And so they break it down if you want to like look through, I don't know, like engaging with constituents, managing volunteers, things like that.
So testcert.com?
Testpreptraining.com.
Does anyone have information or know where we look? Someone mentioned earlier that in January, they thought the nonprofit cert was going to be changing. And I just wonder where we find information about the date that something's going to be changed. I've been requested to get that cert by the end of January. And I just want to make sure I'm studying for the right version. How do we find out when it's going to change? Does anyone know?
I think there was an announcement when the changes that they pushed in the NPSP 3 or 4 weeks ago, right? I think there was something in there that said when it was going to be applicable, reflecting on the new test. I didn't read that real close. Sorry.
I'm looking.
I think it was in that.
But I know not here. I know he took the beta version of that. I don't know if he took the version that's there now. I'm not usually when they change things though, they don't actually, like, it's kind of like, oh, well, they're doing the winter release of the admin exam or something, but I don't think they actually change it all that much because it's not like they're making tons of changes to the data structure or anything.
So the major content pieces are still there.
Yeah, I think so.
The other thing I noticed was I set up a dev org and installed NPSP just so I could practice and learn. But then when I go to sign into the Power of Us hub, it says you're not allowed to go in with a dev org.
Yeah, you can't go in because you have to be affiliated with a nonprofit.
But you can spin up a trial org and get access for 30 days.
That's true.
Okay. So the trial org is the way to go to be able to get in there. Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
But I think I heard they were going to merge Power of Us with the regular groups and chatter and things like that.
That's what somebody said here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right.
I think my friend had told me that too. I think she said that as well.
So they did they just had a second beta of the NPSP certification exam 1 year later. And I heard it was very hard. I know 2 people who've taken it and didn't pass, but betas are really hard. You know, they're testing out the questions and there's 3 times as many questions. So I'm wondering if they are going to incorporate the new products like program management module and I don't know about the paid ones either, but there's so many new products as part of the nonprofit cloud